Hi, this is the part we're going to make today. This part is going to be done in the metric system, meaning the millimeter gram second. If we think that this looks like some type of bolt plate, we can guess that 65 millimeters is the correct dimension. 65 inches would be very large, as would 65 meters. So we're assuming this is roughly 65 millimeters in this direction, 30 millimeters tall. Couple other things to note. We'll note that this circle here is dimensioned from this point. We come up, it's 75 millimeters over, and it's up 30 millimeters. So we're going to use this corner as the location of our coordinate system. One thing I'm going to do is we're going to use the line tool to actually create this curve. I'll show you that's a little technique that SOLIDWORKS allows us to do. We'll note that this curve is tangent to this line and tangent to this line. We have two curves located around this point, which is called out as being 30 in the y and 75 in the negative x if we want to have our coordinate system here. We have 4 by 6 millimeters, so these 4 holes are all 6 millimeters in diameter. We'll note that every hole is defined by this center mark. So the center mark has a cross in the middle with extension lines out from that. And we'll note that these 3 circles are all located on a construction line that indicates that they all have the same vertical distance from the bottom edge of the plate, which is given as 10 millimeters. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and begin making this part. You have the copy of this part on the handout that was given in class, so I'm not going to keep it visible on the screen. Okay, so we're going to create a new part. By default, our part template is in the inch pound second unit system. So we're going to come down here to the lower right hand corner, click on where it says inch pound second and switch to millimeter gram second. I'm going to left click where it says on the front plane and I'm going to create a sketch. Now I'm going to go to the line tool and I'm going to start my part here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag and put in my first dimension. So I'm going to right click here, grab the Smart Dimension tool, and we'll put this in as 65 millimeters. Now the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to create the next 3 lines all in one sequence, and I want to be able to have those lines in proportion to the rest of the part. So I'm going to right click here, go to Sketch Entities, and I'm going to select the line. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to make sure we get our coincidence point there. I'm going to come out, draw the line, and now click, and I'm going to come out, and I'm coming back till I get back to that point, and that generates a curve. And then I'm going to drop the point, and I'll come out here until I get right above the origin, and I'll come down and finish the origin. So as long as we had this dimension set, all the other parts of the drawing of this sketch are going to be in proportion to each other. So when I change some dimensions, I know I'm not going to create some spaghetti. All right, so the first thing I note is that I do have my tangent line here, but I don't have the tangency over here. So I'm going to select this curve, hold down my control key, select this curve, and from the flyout menu, I'm going to select tangent. All right, so now let's put on the 2 main dimensions that locate this point. Go to the Smart Dimension tool, select here and the point, and I'll drop it up there and make that 75. I'm still in the dimensioning tool, so I'll select here and this line, and I'll make that 30. And I'll dimension this radius. Now you note that since I drew it as a curve, it doesn't come out as a diameter. You'll see where it says R6.2, and we're going to change that to a radius of 12. Now I'm going to get out of that tool, and we note that this line now is still blue. So if I try dragging it, nothing happens. If I try dragging this circle, see, now you see what's not fully defined. So you come over here and you recognize, of course, that we have to put in this 15mm dimension, but it's easy to forget things like that, especially when your part kind of looks the way it looks like on the sheet. So I'll go back to my dimension, grab it over here from the right menu, select, left click to drop, and make it 15mm. I'll come up here to my circle tool, add my circle in, and that dimension is going to be 12.5. So now I have to put in my 4 circles. So I'm going to come up here and select my center line tool. Now I'm going to zoom in a little because I want to make sure I don't accidentally grab the center point, right? Because the distance is going to be 10mm from the bottom. So I'll select here, and then I'm going to go all the way over to the other side, and I'm going to make sure that I have a coincident here. And again, it's really careful. You don't want to get this center point here because that would make your line not horizontal. Go up a little bit taller, and there is where the line is horizontal. So that would be an easy mistake to make. Come over here with my Smart Dimension tool, make that 10mm, and grab my circle tool, and I will just put in 3 circles. Again, making sure I don't accidentally click on the center line. Put another circle here, and I'll just drop the 4th circle somewhere in its approximate location. I'm going to hit the escape key. Now I'm going to hold the control key down. This one's already selected, so I'll select the other 3. Let go of the control key and select them to make them equal to each other. Go to my Smart Dimension tool, select one of the circles. Its dimension should be 6mm. So we'll put that in. I'm still in my dimensioning tool, so I'll select the edge of the circle and this line and make that dimension 10. Another way of dimensioning circles is selecting their center points. So I can make that 22. Or again, I can just grab the outside edges of the circles and we'll make that 22. I'm going to hit the escape key because I want to show you something about moving circles around. If I try to select the outer edge of the circle and try to drag it, it doesn't drag. The outer edge of the circle has a diameter of 6, so it doesn't want to move. If you want to move the circle around, you have to grab its center point. So I'm just going to move it over here and right click, go to my Smart Dimension tool, select the circle and the circle and pull up or down, right? If it's grabbing like that, I can make sure I come down, right click to lock the dimension so that I get it where I want it to be. And this dimension should be 3mm. And then from here down to the construction line should be 18mm. I'll hit escape to get out of any tool. We'll note on the bottom that my sketch is fully defined. So we have our finished part here. If I go to the sketch toolbar, the shaded sketch contours is on, so it knows that these are interior. Sometimes the term is referred to as islands. So since we have a main outer contour with inner contours defined, it'll extrude the outside area when by default. I can ask SOLIDWORKS to change that if I want to, but for right now, we'll allow SOLIDWORKS to do what it thinks it's going to do. So we'll go to Features, Extruded Boss. The default here does happen to be 10mm. We note that all the holes are being extruded the way we're expecting them to be, and we'll say OK. We'll now go up to the Evaluate tab. We'll go to Mass Properties, and we will verify that the mass, or rather the volume, is 21,203.01 cubic millimeters. And now you're going to make some modifications and then enter into the location in Blackboard the value of the surface area. So let me just take you back and show you how to do that. We're going to open up, right? Boss Extrude is here. The little arrow next to it, when we click on it, opens up the sketch because Boss Extrude 1 is based upon Sketch 1. Left click on Sketch 1, go up to Edit My Sketch, and then we can go ahead and change the three values. I'm just going to change them to some random value, 75. All right, hold on, what did I just do there? Sometimes I'll forget to tell you. So I'm just going to come over to 75 and I'll double click on it. That opens up the modify box and I'll make this 80. I'll say OK, and it automatically updates. I can change this to 40. So that was a double click again, changing that dimension to 40, and I'll change this dimension to 55. So I've obviously changed my part. So I'll select over here to finish my sketch. Now this is one thing that's happening. When I say finish the sketch, SolidWorks will automatically finish the sketch and then do the next step in the feature manager tree, which is to build the extruding. So the sketch closes and the Boss Extrude 1 gets rebuilt. So now I can go ahead and go to my mass properties. I'll note that the volume has changed. If you're following along, your volume should now be 24,395.91 cubic millimeters. And in this case, the surface area is 8,351.54 square millimeters. So all you need to do to finish the homework is to go into your sketch, make the changes that are suggested, so all you have to do to finish your homework is to go into your sketch, left click, edit the sketch, and change these values. I believe this is A, B, and C dimensions to the numbers that are listed in the Blackboard assignment. Close the sketch to rebuild everything and go back to your mass properties and enter the surface area.